Hello, everyone. Welcome to Charmed Life. I am your host, Tricia Carr. I am so happy to have you here on my podcast platform. And a reminder that you can watch it as a video on my YouTube channel at youtube.com/Tricia Carr, or listen to the podcast anywhere that you get your podcasts. I post a lot of episodes, actually. I post a lot of minis now, too, and you'll find all kinds of topics. Some are with my best friend, Crystal Ann Compton, and myself, and we are talking about various topics and doing excerpts from a live broadcast that we're doing every week, or excuse me, twice per month, not every week, maybe every week soon, twice per month, called Light Shine, and it's us discussing. We do it live in the Lightworkers Lab with, community, which is an online community, a spiritual online community, and you can find it on Facebook as a group. It's way beyond just a group, so I really highly recommend you go find the Lightworkers Lab, join us, and tons of free resources. And those twice per month broadcasts that Crystal and I are doing, we are giving intuitive insight, we are teaching, and we actually reference in this episode today a particular time that Crystal and I were together on Light Shine, and we did a whole, I think it was an hour and a half, talking about angels, archangels, angels, our own experiences, teaching on different ways that you can actually connect with angels. And I recently posted an excerpt from that right here on my channel and on my podcast, so you can go catch that. There's a link for all of these things that I'm talking about right in the description if you're listening or watching, however you're listening or watching, I should say. And so I hope you'll join us on the Lightworkers Lab, and I hope that you'll subscribe, like, share, and comment on this podcast. And let me talk to you a little bit about angels. In case you haven't heard me talk about it before, or if you didn't hear that recent episode, I do encourage you to. You know, I grew up in evangelical Christianity, and I left the church at some time. I did my consciousness seeking for a while in a very, what I'd probably considered a pragmatic sense, but little did I recognize that I was actually still quite mystical, and even my church experience was very mystical, kind of steeped in some Hebrew mysticism. And however, angels were not really a part of any of my exploration until I had this kind of metaphysical opening and really started to just get into all of the topics that were exciting me, and one of them being angels and kind of the archangelic realm, I think maybe especially. And not that there's really that much of a distinction if we're talking about the realms of light. If it's archangelic or angelic, it's whatever your experience is exactly what is right for you. Now, the thing about angels is they are non-religious, but what's interesting is that while I was in religion, I didn't experience them that much. But some religions really do embrace this kind of the ancient Hebrew mysticism experience of archangels and the names of those angels. And I do experience those particular entities as well, those beings of light. And then there are other kinds of energies in the spirit realms that are recognized with different kinds of cultural belief systems, or just different belief systems, whether they have a cultural association or not. And some, we may call those ascended masters. In some, like in Hindu, some of the beings that I connect with are called gods and goddesses, deities. And the thing that I think is so beautiful about connecting with spirit through any of these beings, or anything with a name that we give it, that what they always do is draw us back to ourselves and that I am energy, the I am energy, your I am energy, as Jesus said that the kingdom of heaven is within you. And Jesus also said, and I have a mini series on this podcast called Metaphysics of the Bible, but Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the light. And the way that I hear that is it's the I am, your I am, my I am is the way, the truth, and the light. And this is something that we talk about on this podcast, on this particular interview, is that when we connect with something that is outside of ourselves, if it is truly love, if it's truly unity, if it is truly universal energies, that one energy, another way I love to talk about it, as I already have, is the one I am energy. And there is no separation in the universe. There is no separation in the higher perspective. Any of those energies that have names or experiences, they are real. They are real sort of personages, expressions of the one energy, source energy, or God, whatever language that you prefer, the universe, in the way that I am a true expression and you are a true expression of those energies. And yet, in the fabric of one, from that perspective, then it is just one energy. And so these different ways that we hook into the higher frequency realms, they're just reflecting it back to us. Higher frequency doesn't mean better. It doesn't even mean more powerful, because we're, again, talking about one energy. It does mean that they are more proximate to that vibration of the one energy, but it doesn't mean that they are better and there isn't a qualitative kind of experience, even though we're speaking sort of in quantitative terms of higher frequencies. It just means the vibrational expression of those realms of light. And so it is both that, let's say, Archangel Michael is a true personage of source energy, a true expression, individuated, autonomized to some degree. And yet how we connect with that energy is limited. And that is just because that helps us to focus and to get into the energies. But these true energies, these true expressions of love and of light, always reflect back to us, always have us go within. And as I say, it is the I am energy through which we connect with true I am. The I am not, where we get to the not, is the stop sign. And so these energies, these beings, will stop at that. And that's what we really explore in this interview today. So let me tell you about it. This interview is with a dear friend, and she's also a client and a student of mine. And we talk about that in the podcast, so I'm not giving away anybody's personal information. Her name is Carson Dougherty, and she's a Los Angeles-based actor. She's also an activist, a producer, and she's a lover and student of all things that are health and wellness and spiritual. And she says, if it's magical, sign me up. I love that. So I met Carson 2.5 years ago. She actually came to me for a reading, as she explains in the episode. And I really connect with how she connects with art. You know, I talk a lot about art and creativity and intuition and spirituality. Those are all one set of energies, how we just have different applications. And so Carson and I really vibe on that. And so what we're going to talk to you about is, in this interview, is how Crystal and I had a conversation as we were broadcasting, and then about angels and how to be able to connect. And Carson shares her story, and so I'm not going to give it away because it's really fun, and it's, you know, we make light of a lot of it. But I also want to tell you to definitely go follow Carson. Go find her work. Go find her on Instagram. I think she's going to be promoting it. She does have a website, and you can find that in the description. But the reason I want you to find her is because she is an activist. She's doing a lot of charity work. And right now, if you want to pitch in and you want to give some support, even though you may be sheltering in place, Carson has a GoFundMe that she is about to announce. The GoFundMe is to raise awareness and get personal protective equipment and hand sanitizer to prisons and prisoners and their families. And this is in conjunction with a charity called American Justice Alliance, and also a new spiritual brand that's called Awakened, only Awakened has 2 V's instead of a W. And so I would really love for you to go and connect, because it sounds like a beautiful cause. I'm going to be connecting and getting involved in that however I can. And so go find Carson, check the links below, and I hope you enjoy the interview. Tell us, if you will, lovely Carson, what happened? Angels and all, huh?
Angels and all. Well, you and Crystal had the best video. Was it last week or the week before?
Yeah, as we're recording, probably about a week ago or 2.
A week ago, on the Lightworkers Lab. And it was all about angels, which I've heard you guys talk about a bunch before. And I've done some research into it and some feeling into it, but I hadn't really explored in depth before. And Crystal put it in a way that seemed much more attainable to me. I'm one of those people who compare my gifts to others, and I always think it should be like this loud voice, and I should see these images. And like, if it sounds too difficult when you guys suggest something, I just don't do it. And
Yeah, it's a testament. You have to find what's right for you. Yeah.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So she said, just sit down in meditation, which I can do, and just invite some angels to come in and feel what it feels like. And if there's anything that I'm really comfortable doing, it's my feeling senses. Yeah. I've always been someone who can, like, the second someone walks in the door, I can tell if something's wrong, even if they're actually not in the room. I can usually tell if someone's excited or wrong, or they're sad, whatever. So that seemed like an easy task to me. I was like, I don't have to pick my main angel. I don't have to do any of that. I'll just see what happens and I'll journal about it. And you said to explore with creativity, just to be excited about it. I was like, that I can do. That sounds easy. So I sat down and meditation, fully, again, judging and expecting that, like, the angels that would come in would be exactly the ones that you guys had talked about. And I would, like, try and make it look or feel a certain way. And the first one to come up was Zadkiel. And you guys had not talked about that before.
Yeah.
And in that recording. And so I was like,
Zadkiel's not necessarily one of the more popular ones.
Right. I was like, but I knew it was an angel. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. It's not one of the ones they mentioned. Maybe, like, who knows what's going on? Maybe it's not just my brain. But I knew it was an angel. So I accepted it and let it in. And then the next name to come up was Muriel. And I was like, that's a grandma's name. That's not an angel. Like, why is that? Clearly my brain is mistranslating and it's Uriel. But, like, I felt the energy. I was like, okay, I feel like self-love. I feel calming. The way I feel angels is like, it's like I can feel the energy in front of my face. So this one, this presence was, like, more in my eyes and here, whereas, like, a Metatron's more, like, right in front of me and powerful. One feels more feminine and lighter, and one will feel more masculine. And this.
Wait, you're saying, I mean, but you've connected with Metatron before, or since then? You had connected with Metatron before, and you didn't believe it?
So the reason I knew that I could feel them was because you had Kristen Taylor. Do you remember her? Angel Intuitive. On, and she had a meditation where you could connect with Metatron. And again, I didn't get any messages or anything, so, like, it didn't feel real to me, but I could feel something in front of, like, I could feel this kind of, like,
and a message for you is a message for you, like, Carson, you're doing things wrong, and here's some instructions of how to do things right.
Like, yes, a loud voice and words and images
and admonishing. All right, so back to Muriel.
Right. So I knew that I could feel things, and Muriel felt, well, at that point, what I was feeling felt more feminine and light, and I got, like, self-love, and I saw pink, and I was like, okay, but clearly this is Uriel. I was just like, I'm going to change. I, like, scratched out Muriel. I wrote Uriel because, like, Muriel is not an angel. And then I went on to other angels, and they came in. And I was like, okay, are any other angels want to come in here? Like, I'm just messing around. I don't know what's going on. And the name Muriel came again. And I was like, what is my brain doing? What is this name? And it's like I'm having a little argument with myself. And I'm like, fine. I'll write it down. Maybe I'll Google it. Maybe.
Yeah.
So I Google afterwards, and she's an angel.
She's an archangel. Yeah.
She's an archangel.
She's, again, not the most popular one, which is awesome, because I imagine if it was, but just think about it. If Michael came through, you'd be like, yeah, whatever, Michael. Like, everybody knows.
I would make it. There was no winning. I read this somewhere. Like, clearly I read this somewhere. It's not. Yeah. Which is what's so amazing, because then I got to feel really good and cool and trust myself more. And she's the angel of helping you trust your intuition.
Oh,
so there's
I love
so much that, like, not only did what I write down once I Googled it make complete sense, but it makes complete sense why she's working with me now. And it's just my brain kept going, like, okay, no matter how many crazy experiences to me, I'm still at the point where, like, I need them. And then I'm like, oh, like, I don't trust them at the beginning. And then I'm like, whoa, that was crazy. Like, it still amazes me. She's the patron of empaths, which I was just talking about.
Oh my gosh, I got chills. Yeah.
Yeah. So it would make sense. She's been with me probably for a while, but there's a lot that I started reading. I was like, oh my God, this has been happening within the past couple of weeks. So she's the patron of empaths, helps you trust your intuition, which, as you know, that's something I'm very much working on. Like, like one of the websites actually said, trust the still whispers of your heart. Like, as things come to me, they're not loud voices. It's just kind of like, when you remember, oh, I left my keys there. that kind of like how that voice sounds. It sounds like it sounded the same to me when Muriel came, just like,
the still
Muriel.
Small voice.
So she's the archangel of helping you with that. She comes to people struggling with their emotions or that have like, or just very sensitive.
Yeah.
And she helps you heal pets, which, as you know, is something. My cat is sick right now.
Yeah.
She helps you heal your gardens. Like 2 weeks ago, I had this crazy urge to buy all these plants. And Chris was like, okay, it's the quarantine. You can wait. And I was like, no, I need to do it right now. And he's like, do you? And I was like, oh, I do. And then I did it. I got all these plants. She's the angel of gardens. Recently, which again, my brain turned off, I kept smelling flowers everywhere. Like there's this flower I really like. I don't know what it's called. It's in Hawaii, and it always reminds me of Hawaii.
Is it tubular rose? I've smelled, when you said that, I could smell tubular. Before you said it was in Hawaii, I could smell tubular rose.
That's it. Yes. And I've been smelling her, and I'll be like, oh, there must be tubular rose somewhere. And I'm like, okay, I'm in my living room. But this was in the past couple of weeks. I just didn't even think, oh, this must be a spiritual thing. I just was like, I'm smelling it's just funny what your brain does. I was like, oh, I'm just smelling tubular rose. I read on here that she comes to you in scents of a sweet floral perfume.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And it was just like thing after thing. Like one of her crystals is a rose quartz. And a week ago, I haven't been wearing any of my crystals. I picked this one up and I was like, I feel like wearing this now. Oh, and she also helps you be a humanitarian. Within the past couple of weeks, I've been really involved in these charities. So it's just like this thing after thing where I think it's just my regular life and I'm discounting all of these things that are happening. And then I read it and I'm like, oh.
But that's what's so beautiful, what spirit does, what love does. Love turns you to yourself and validates you. And it's just like when people want to communicate with their animals, and I'm like, you already are. You hear them, and no one else can validate that. Just the two of you loving each other. That's the validation. Or when someone's loved one passes and they're like, I can't feel my dad. I can't feel my dad, or whatever it is. And then it's you have to feel them in your heart, and that's where your communication is. So it's so beautiful about it. It turns you into yourself, and you validate yourself, in order to really accept, feel it. That's what they come in the I am. As I said in the video I just posted yesterday in the class that you were in, they come through the I am. They stop when you say I am not, because they are not going to validate that for you. They can't validate that.
It's funny, the best readings, I was saying this to my friend the other day, she was pulling tarot cards for me, and the best readings are always like, yeah, I was feeling all of that already. I just didn't know how to say it.
Yes.
In the same way, like I just didn't trust it, and I needed someone else to say it. Those are the ones that are like, it's not like, whoa, where'd that come from? It's
revelation. Yeah. No, it's. And so I just want to. So this happened after you heard Crystal and me talking about it. When did it happen? Like how long after?
I went the next day to do the meditation, and
And what's so hilarious, and this is also what's so hilarious, because you probably didn't see it while you're in it, is that what you're describing is so similar to my experience of connecting with Ariel. I heard the name Ariel and I was like, that's not an angel name. And I didn't believe it until I Googled it, And I was like, I must have heard that wrong when I found out that Ariel was an archangel. I was like, okay, then I heard it wrong, because I'm not allowed to have a relationship with archangels. So what is it? And I, let a different name come through, which was similar, like Uriel and Muriel. It's so wild, but you probably didn't kind of recall that even while you were in the experience, right?
Actually did, and that's what made me look it up. I wouldn't. I don't think I would have looked it up otherwise. I would have been like, I would
totally
have just assumed it was Uriel. But because I knew of your Ariel thing, I was like, well, it happened to Tricia, so I might as well just look this up. It worked for her. I fully did not expect it to be. I didn't expect her to be an archangel. I honestly have never heard of her before.
Yeah.
Which then is like, okay, so I didn't make any of that. I can't have made that up.
Oh, it's so wild. I just love it so much. Tell folks about your spiritual journey, and you're an actress. And so I'm always highlighting that creativity and intuition are the same thing. They're in the same bucket. We connect creatively the same way we connect intuitively, the same way we connect creatively, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Like it's the same muse, or it's just slightly different the ways that we apply it are just slightly different, I guess, maybe you'd say.
I guess I've been kind of spiritual my whole life because of acting without realizing it. And now that I look
Acting
back,
is
I'm like,
channeling.
wow, I was using all of these tools that now I have more mastery over.
Right.
But before, I was connecting, I did a conservatory program right when I graduated college in New York City. And one of the classes was called Lucid Body. And she would start us out with yoga for 45 minutes of the class because she would use chakras to connect to different characters. She'd be like, okay, you haven't imploded first. So like if you're homeless, you haven't imploded first.
Wow, cool.
But you also have also an imploded third because you don't have the self-worth.
Right.
Or you haven't exploded because something happened and you're out this. So you're like actually moving your bodies in different ways. But that's like so spiritual. So
that's so
all of
cool.
these affirmations that I use now, I was already using before. I just didn't realize that they were so connected. And I had no idea it was channeling either. I went to a reader once who kept picking up. She was like, oh, you must have had like some drug-addled parents and a really tough childhood. And she kept saying all this stuff. I was like, no. And then I realized, I was like, oh my God, this is the character I'm working on right now. And then she kept saying everything. And I was like, whoa, that's a character. And the next time I came in, she was like, you look completely different. I was like, I'm not working on that character anymore. And none of that stuff was coming up for her in the same way because you're pulling it down. You're creating, I don't know if someone's working with you or you're creating thought forms, but you are, why it's hard for me sometimes to give feedback when I watch actors. It's because I don't realize what I'm doing. The best work is when it just flows through me and it's just happening. I'm reacting and I don't know how that happens, but I guess it's channeling.
Yeah, exactly. And do you find yourself having a bit of amnesia after you? Yep. That's what happens in that intuitive.
And I'm like, yeah, it felt different. I don't know where that came from.
Right. Yes.
And so I guess now that I already know how to do it. So it's how can I find it and bring it into my life when I'm not acting? Because I would love to.
You just allow. You just allow. That's all. You just ease and you allow. And it's the same way that you just, that you connected. Well, with acting, when you get into character, this is when I opened up, because I was an actor before, and when I opened up metaphysically and I realized what it was like to connect, I was like, oh, it's just like acting. You know what I mean? Like I would take a breath, I would welcome it in, I would clear my mind, I would welcome in the character, and it's the same thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do for acting. I don't know what it's about trusting yourself and getting out of the habit of your ego or your brain telling you, no, you can't do this, or no, that's not.
And that's why you have to learn the text so that you forget it even. Like you learn the text so well that it's just automated and it just happens. But everything else is alive underneath it and in the now. Yep.
And then I told you about those two women from New York City who they brought spirituality to creatives. And then I ended up finding UBN Radio and Hay House, and it was just like normal stuff. Like, oh, okay, there's more than just us. If you had asked me, I got a reading from you 2.5 years ago, and that was my real connection into when it started to get weird. If you had, I probably would have believed in
Come
angels
to me if you want to get weird.
2.5 years ago, but like you had said unicorns, dragons, or interdimensionals, I would have been like, what the?
I didn't say that. I didn't say that on your reading.
No, you didn't.
Did I say angels? I don't remember at all.
No, just my grandma and just regular stuff came through. But I don't know how I would have I have no idea how I would have treated it now. Just like a slower progression, but now I'm just like, what? Yeah, tell me all the weird stuff.
Yeah.
Get weird.
Let's get weird. Oh, I just love it. And and you can use it. That's the thing. You can use your intuition or your intuitive connecting, your psychic connecting, whatever. You can use it in whatever it is that you're doing, because everything is creative and everything is intuitive. Everything is spirit.
Yep. Have you done the artist way ever?
Mm-mm.
It is, it's a 12-week program, and it's kind of a spiritual way to be an artist. So you have all these, this woman wrote it for blocked writers. It can be for any creative. And it's all of these tools that I already use because I'm spiritual, but it's bringing spirituality to people that might not have been in that arena already. I'm doing it with 6 girls who aren't spiritual at all. And I just happened, synchronicities. I happened to post it on Instagram because I got invited by another group, and they were like, oh, I've had that book forever, but I've never done it. And I was like, let's have a group. And they're having to find synchronicities every day and having to be present and aware and do these artist dates and like write these messages like an artist prayer. And it's wonderful, and it is for everyone, and it complements, it is creativity. It's the same thing.
Oh my God, I love this for you. I love you leading these groups. I mean, like,
it's been really fun because I can bring these
tools. You can make a business out of this if you want. I mean, I love it.
And I think it's also the perfect complement to the quarantine and what we're doing now, because we're forced to go inward and have all of this time to discover these things and deal with. I mean, they talk about, at one point they ask you to have your creative monsters, people that didn't support you. So it's all of these feelings are going to come up. And I find myself, I find myself constantly quoting you anytime someone's upset. I'm like, it's so good that you're feeling that, because that means you can release it. And what do you say? You got to see the dirt to
clean the house.
And it's just like wonderful that all of these things are coming up for people, and that they can release it through creativity, which is even better because you're just using it in all these wonderful ways.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, Carson, you're just such a light. You're so beautiful, and I find you to be so brave. I mean, you're really funny how you make light, and I think it's actually good to make light of yourself, to kind of poke fun at yourself for the ways that you block yourself. When people say I'm blocked, it's like I have blocked myself is really what it is. I mean, that's how it is. So it's really fun. It's really good, and to lighten up about it. And I
think as an actor, you have that. Actors talk about like, oh, well, that time I was just watching myself. I'm used to just that abandonment already. So like, I can have this conversation where I'm like, no, your brain made that up. And my other part of me being like, well, but also what Tricia said. And then like, I can like just be I'm like constantly just evaluating myself and my emotions. And so I always have been self-aware, but even more so now.
Well, yeah, that's like the higher mind. Well, and I do that too. I argue with spirit. I argue with messages. The reading I had earlier today, and it was an animal reading, but intuitive guidance came in about something. Oh, I'm going to share it. There's a cat. It was a cat. And this is, by the way, this is not sensitive information. It could be anyone, just so you guys know. I don't usually talk about my clients, but this is pretty general. So it was a cat who has, like sinus problems. Like she gets sinus problems frequently. And so I asked spirit, because that's not something, the cat herself doesn't know how to heal her own sinus problems like the human doesn't usually. And so I asked spirit, and I got a picture they sent me a picture of a neti pot, how humans use it. And I was like, that's dumb. We're not going to do that to a cat. All right, clear my mind, do it again. Neti pot again. I was like, what? But it ended up, and so I was arguing. So I went ahead and like shyly kind of shared it in the reading, but we kept talking about it. And then I got guidance on what was actually going on with the physical tissue of the cat. And anyway, and then it turned out, oh my God, it makes so much sense. And there's actually ways that it's like you use like a little, like to squeeze through to clear it out. So, I mean, arguing with spirit, it's like really funny. It's kind of something Crystal talked about in our angel thing too. She was like, no, that's not what angels look like, when she saw Archangel Gabriel as a rakish Robin Hood, bejeweled man. Sorry, go ahead. What were you saying?
I do the same thing when I pull a card for a friend. I'm like, well, I know the friend situation. I know this doesn't make any sense. So I'm just going to put it back in, and then it'll fall out again. And I'm like, fine, I'll include it. And they're like, yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. Like, how can I act like I know what's going on in their life? Like, I don't, why am I mistrusting something that's,
but spirit is so accepting and unconditionally, positively holding space. So, it's not like, well, you got your chance, and so now that card's not coming out again. It'll fall out a second time. And spirit does have a sense of humor. You know what I mean? Like the universe has a sense of humor.
Cracking up. I'll like pull it up. I'm like, fine. Yeah, I understand it. It came out 3 times. I'm sorry. I'm such a pain. Thank you. Oh, there was one other thing about Zach. Okay, so Muriel is an angel. I guess there's different realms. She's a dominion angel, which also is Zadkiel, which is funny because he was the first one who came to me. And he's the violet flame guy. And you had just brought me through that meditation.
Yeah, we did a class in October, I think it was, right? Yep. In the Mystic Arts Academy. So were you there? Did you watch that one?
I think so.
Okay. Anyway, so we did the violet flame
with
one.
the pillar of light you had mentioned just 2 weeks ago. And I don't know if you remember, but I was like,
I do. Yeah.
Floored when I came out of that meditation. I thought I'd actually been levitating. I was like, what?
You looked like it too, because you left your video on. And I was like, so like you were shining. You were, did you rewatch the video while you were in the meditation?
No.
You go check it out.
Okay.
So what we're talking about, you guys, just in case you guys hear me talk about the Mystic Arts Academy, that is thank you. That is because of you guys. It's my membership platform. You can do drop-ins on the classes, but we have classes twice per month, and then we also do just about every week we do a group meditation. But what Carson is referring to is we had a class. The last one we had was on discovering your council of light, and so we talked about it, and then I led a hypno journey, like a meditation, to go and meet your council of light, and the violet flame was also a part of that journey. And yeah, Carson like seriously activated, like super hard.
I remember getting out and I was like, this is what people feel like if they've done like mushrooms or ayahuasca, which I haven't done. I was like, oh my God, the trees are like breathing and vibrating. And I'm looking around, I was like, I'm not the same. Like I am, It's not just me. I am everything. I am one and I will never be the same. It like nothing mattered, but everything mattered. Like everything was so important, but nothing mattered anymore. It was just this crazy feeling. I was like, this is nuts. And then I went outside and I joined a video call, a Zoom for my family, and went away like 5 minutes. I was like, oh, I feel the same.
It didn't go away. It didn't go away. You integrated it. That's what happened. Yeah. Well, you're saying like everything matters and nothing matters. That paradox is so powerful. And that's something like what I felt when you said the trees are breathing, when I connected with this tree, and I actually heard with my, outside I heard clairaudiently, like, but with my physical ears or despite my physical ears. And I said, asked the tree its name. And I heard, Will, I was hearing it and nobody was answering, this floating voice saying Will. So I was like, if Will is that close by, why isn't he answering? But whatever. And then I put my hands on the tree and one side was in shade, one branch was in shade, one branch was in sun. And I just kind of leaned in and I said, ooh, that feels cool. It just feels neat to have the contrast. And I heard the tree, like felt it because the telepathy was like total body and total energy. And the tree said, thank you. I grew here for this moment. Like as if this moment for me to experience the cool texture of the hot and the cool was the reason, as much as any reason in all eternity for the tree to have grown there. And that's what that meant. You know what I mean? Like that the validation that every single heartbeat is just as precious as even the first heartbeat.
One of my favorite stories that you tell, I brought that up to a friend yesterday. She was comparing herself to all of these fancy biographies that these women had. And she's like, I haven't done anything. And I was like, that hand that you held the other day is just as important as that woman getting her neuroscience degree at 21 or whatever she did. It was such a profound feeling.
Yeah.
And I guess I will never be, you constantly never the same. Like I'm not going to be the same tomorrow as I wasn't. It was just such a crazy, like my life's going to be different from now on. And now it feels more of the same, but it isn't. It never is. I had this angel experience.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, only that. Oh, wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of these amazing stories with us. And maybe you can come back on another time. And
I would love to make light of all the stuff I'm learning and how I learn it. Everyone, I think it's important. You have all these really cool people all the time, but everyone has a different path in terms of how it comes to them. And we are constantly comparing ourselves, and it's just everyone has different stuff that they can tap into at different times. And it's fun to hear different levels of journeys, and it's so magical, and I just want it for everyone.
Yeah. Yes, I do know.
And thank you for being that person that opened it all up for me.
No, you did it right.
Yeah, but that Ariel story helped me, obviously.
Well, we will, you guys follow Carson. We'll put your Instagram and any other social media. We'll put it in the description. And so follow.
I mean, I have to be out of the spiritual closet.
Yeah. And well, and maybe she will be doing this Artist Way group some more. Maybe that's something you can connect with her on. And then she and her husband make really fun videos too. So we'll put all of that stuff in the in the description. Oh, and if you want to hang out with Carson on Zoom, you can join the Mystic Arts Academy because that's where we meet. All right.
It's the best. The vibration is so high, and just being in the class, like I can do all these meditations on my own, but it up levels you.
The community is so much, and the questions that people ask, it's always like just so perfect for all of us. Yeah,
so
and then the material is always like woven into everything that everyone's doing. So
I constantly feel like spirit's talking to me during the class. I'm like, was this made specifically for me? And I'm sure I think everyone feels that way, which is why it's so special.
And the answer is yes. It is made specifically for you. Well, that's, I know we already said goodbye like 3 times, but this is also reminding me of A Course in Miracles.
I'm doing that right now.
Are you really? That's so cool.
Yeah, 105. Yeah.
Oh, cool. So I know that this quote I say fairly frequently, but all of God's children are special and none of God's children are special. And it's that paradox that every single moment is just one perspective of the eternal now. It's just one facet of the universal crystal. And so everyone is unique and everyone is important, but everyone is one. So that's how no one is special, because everyone is one. It's unity, because of the unity principle of it. And yet we need you to complete unity. We need you. And this came through, and I don't remember which one of the classes channeling, but I think it was maybe Michael or something like that, and said that you complete God, or you complete the universe. That's how precious everyone is.
And that should make everyone feel so good. Like, you don't need to walk around being sad and upset. I'm in the part of Course in Miracles right now that's happiness is your only function.
Yes.
Because
I've been, the discipline for me lately, they've been telling me just do what's easy, not like don't try. Like, don't over try. You already have, you're so abundant in everything that you can resource, whether it's something you've already studied or learned or gained or just available to you. Relax inside of it and let it be easy. That's been a kind of going along what I'm feeling about this too, instead of the efforting. And that's what you had to do in order to connect to the angels, right? You had to relax into it.
I had to just let go and have zero expectations.
And do what was easy for you, which, like you said, feeling and being creative. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Okay, now officially, thank you so much. I'm gonna be there all day. and I'll see you soon. I always do. And maybe you can come back on and talk to us some more about this stuff. Thank you so much for coming on. Wasn't that fun? I mean, I had so much fun. I hope you guys could feel how fun it was to, hang out and to just get into the energy of connecting with angels. And I also want to tell you a couple of other things. Carson has some fun things coming out. She has a web series coming out called The Pool, and it's about lifeguards. And so that's coming out soon too. And she and her husband have really funny videos. So definitely go find Carson on YouTube. YouTube actually. And also her Instagram, where she'll be talking about all of those things. One last thing I want to tell you about, a teaser, is the Energy Intensive, the 2020 Energy Intensive with Crystal and Compton and myself. And this is one of the many programs that we've been running over the last several years. You probably heard me, if you're a regular listener, talk about the Intuitive Intensive. And that's an immersive program that's 12 weeks long, and it covers all things intuitive, all things spiritual. And there's a coaching portion of that. Now, the Energy Intensive is a different program entirely, where we are teaching many different modalities, many different ways of doing energy healing. And then we're also going to be teaching our own proprietary modalities. Mine is called quantum resonance healing technique. I'm super excited. No one has ever learned this from me. And Crystal's is called star giving. So that's just a teaser, but you can find the link to check out and read all about the Energy Intensive. in the description here, and it is going to be live. It's a live online program with coaching as well, an 8-week program, and it starts at the end of June. So check it out, and that's this episode, everyone. I really so very much appreciate you being here with me. It just makes my heart swell so much to spend time with you guys, and because I can feel you, I can feel your energies, I can feel your questions, I can feel your seeking, I can feel your light, and it really blesses me. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the support. Thank you for listening, and thank you for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.